Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for Tuesday, July 2nd, 2019. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Here's a look at the daily time frame of the ES. You'll notice here that we have an inside day developing here heading into RTH. We have a fairly narrow range overall of 12.25 points, which is 45% of normal range. We've been averaging about 27.5 points over the last 5 and 10 sessions. So again, very narrow. We are sitting up here near highs. And again, typically speaking, when you're sitting up here near a previous month's high after a pretty significant rally, there is a tendency to see a fade of some magnitude. So again, got to keep an eye on this blue line right here. That's the previous month's high. You got to see if price can hold above this blue dotted line. That's the previous month's close. It's trading up here and just kind of holding up here. You can do that for the next 1, 2, 3, 4 days throughout the week. And then we could see some move occur, maybe a flush back down, or perhaps any pullback that does occur could be seen as another buying opportunity, very similar to what we saw these last couple of times. So again, we got to keep an eye on this zone right now, very narrow. We do have a holiday shortened week here, with Thursday being the 4th of July holiday in the US, and then Friday may have residual holiday type trading behavior, and this whole week may be very, very quiet as we head into the bulk of the holiday weekend here. If we take a look here at the NQ, you'll see very similar price action right now, trading just 35% of normal with a 36.25 range for the day. You can see an inside day development occurring right now. Here's the previous month's high, and the previous session seeing a rejection of prices above that zone, at least initially. And so again, this could give us an indication that we may be headed back down, at least to retest the recent low here. You'll also notice this is the FOMC key level right there from May 1st. It was offered immediately. A couple days later, offered again. Didn't quite get back to it this point right here, but you can see yesterday basically the high was that FOMC key level. And that's going to be important again. We have a little bit of divergence that is developing here. If I bring up the PivotBoss oscillator, you'll see that these have higher highs, and on the oscillator there are lower highs. Not showing it now, but that is the case, and usually that would open up a return back to at least the prior pivot low. So again, there are some early indications here that we could see some sort of a pullback at some point. Now again, selling into a holiday trading type of atmosphere can be a little bit difficult, as we could tend to see a little bit of a drift up type of phase ahead of the holiday. So we'll see how that continues to develop. If we take a look at crude oil, you'll see crude oil is developing a fairly narrow range right now. We're trading 49% of ADR at the moment. You can see the last 5 sessions very narrow. Down here on the ADR indicator, you can also see it's been compressed on a 5-day basis. That could likely persist for a while as well, but that again quantifies things and tells us, you know what, this market is very, very narrow right now. As a matter of fact, we did explode to the upside here, but much of that was done on 2 sessions. The rest was just kind of a quiet drift up type of phase. This day actually closed higher on the API number, which was bigger than expected on the draw side, and since then we've basically gone sideways here. So again, there could be another expansion type of opportunity occurring. Now you'll notice here we do have an inside value month for crude oil. You also notice that we ended the previous month above this month's pivot range. We opened above it as well for the month. So any pullback, say we were to break down out of this narrow range, it could find support in the pivot range, and that could catapult things higher yet again. So again, this is what we'll be looking for, is some sort of false breakout to the downside for a shot at seeing a rally ahead. Lastly, taking a look at gold futures, this one is seeing a little bit of a bounce today, up about 0.5%. This one's also very narrow, 50% of normal range right now. It's averaging about 22 handles, and it's at about 11.5 handles of range at the moment. You'll notice again what I talked about before was any pullback into the pivot range and into 1375s or thereabouts. You can see a big time LVN that is developing at that zone. This is very, very important. Again, after the explosive move through that zone, seeing prices that we haven't seen in 6 years, if price can come back here and defend this zone, that could be a significant opportunity to at least retest a high at 1440 and perhaps even go through that high. So right now it's doing exactly as you would want it to do if you were going to be bullish. We could still test a little bit lower and still have an opportunity to bounce. So this doesn't have to be the low, but right now showing some initial bounce inside the pivot range. All right, that is it for now. We'll see how this develops heading into the rest of the session. Good luck, trade well, and I'll see you in the trading room. Take care.